Hey guys, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions like how do I record an episode? How do I get my show into the apps all the people like to listen to? And how do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. It's called Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and extremely easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. I've been using Anchor now for, almost a year, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot easier than any of the other podcast apps I've ever tried. And again, it's free, guys. It really is free. It doesn't cost anything. So if you want to get started on a podcast and making money doing it, then go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start. Anchor, the best way to podcast.
All right, let me bring up my notes real quick because apparently I wasn't smart enough to bring them up before you came on.
This is the Ranger Report Podcast. News, insights, predictions, interviews, and information about the Texas Rangers from the major leagues to the minor leagues. And now, here are your hosts, Ben Dieter and CJ Berryman.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ranger Report Podcast. I am Ben Dieter. He is CJ Berryman, and we are joined today by Jeff Wilson of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Jeff, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Doing really good.
Good. Great.
All right, let's start with last night's starter, Kohei Arihara. After a couple of good starts, he has really been terrible the last few. What are the Rangers thinking is the problem, and can it be fixed?
Well, at first they thought Sunday he might have been tipping his pitches, but then they decided that wasn't it. Last night, at least, his velocity was down last night. His pitches were flat, and I think the leading theory right now is that he might be tired. Pitchers who come from Japan, they're used to pitching only once a week over there, and now he's going to have to pitch several times on 4 days rest. Now the Chicago start was on an extra day. This was on 4. His next one's going to be on 4. So I don't know what they're going to do. They're thinking about it. Arihara said that he doesn't want the extra time. He wants to get acclimated to the every fifth day. But you just kind of got to decide what's best for the team at this point. And I think giving him a day of rest is wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. If you drop a spot starter in there, Hyun Jong Yong, for instance, he and Arihara are now on the same rest schedule. So put Yong in there, give Arihara an extra day, and then it gives everybody else an extra day because the Rangers are in the middle of 19 straight. So that might not be a bad idea. I don't know what they're going to do. They probably don't know yet either. But I wouldn't be surprised if Arihara is either given a day off or his leash is shortened. So 2 innings an outing. You can't really give him a shorter than that.
Yeah, and on the other side of that coin, Kyle Gibson has just been outstanding since that bad first start, which obviously some nerves could have been involved there with it being opening day. What has he done to be so dominant? And I can say one thing about him is his slider right now looks almost unhittable.
Yeah, I've kind of thought about this. The Rangers signed him based on like the analytics and the numbers when he's at his best. He hasn't been at his best for 2 or 3 years because of the medical stuff. He had the E. coli after a mission trip before the 2019 season, and then that triggered ulcerative colitis, which he was dealing with throughout the last off season before the 2020 season, and he really hadn't had a chance to work out like he does when he's at his best. And so this last off season, he did. Everything's under control. I think he's stronger. He was able to spend time working on his mechanics and the shape of his pitches, and also he had that cutter. So it's just another look. But yeah, that slider has been really, really good. And the spots where he was putting it the other night, I keep throwing to JD Martinez that Martinez out was a ball, but it was just a great pitch. And then, I think when a hitter does that, either thinks it was really was a ball, or he's like, man, there's no way I can hit that pitch. So it's nice to see. Gibson last year was not fun to watch. And then another indication that Kyle Gibson's pitching really well, that his sinker's working, that his off-speed pitches are working. He hasn't allowed a home run this season. Yep. And then on a staff that I think leads the majors in home runs allowed, Kyle Gibson hasn't allowed one.
That is pretty impressive. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, singles hitter Joey Gallo has had a home run and a double in the past few games. I know with Solak and Lowe around him, is he starting to see more pitches to hit?
I don't know. The double he had last night, it was just a good piece of hitting. He sent it the other way. The outfield, of course, was shifted over, and it got in there. I guess that was 2 nights ago. But he, he's a good hitter. I really think that somewhere inside of there is a good hitter. He's got the approach down. The rest is up to him. He's still got to make more contact. And, you saw in spring training, he made a ton of contact early in the season with all those singles. Something was clicking. I think a couple of us have written that he might be getting a little too passive, not being aggressive enough. You see him take a lot of called third strikes. I know this is the major leagues, but don't you still have to protect when it's close and there's 2 strikes? I mean, you don't want to leave it in the umpire's hands. So I think that maybe that's starting to sink in a little bit. He's talked to the hitting coaches. He's talked to the analytics department. And look, nobody should be upset that he's leading the American League in walks. I mean, that's a very good thing. It's a great thing for the offense.
Yeah.
But they really do need him to put the ball forward a little bit more often.
And a guy that's been very effective hitting behind him, Adolis Garcia, he came up obviously and was absolutely on fire. And he's cooled off lately, and it's obvious that opposing pitchers have kind of just come up with a better game plan of how they want to attack him. Do you think that we're about to see an adjustment from him as to how he's being attacked now? You get to see him a lot closer than we do in his baseball acumen. And do you think we're going to see that?
Well, I think he's at a point where he has to. That's always the deal. A hitter comes up, league hasn't seen him, he starts hitting them, and then they adjust to him. He's got to adjust back. It's still only been it hasn't even been 3 weeks. I think it's been 18 days since he got called up. And the Rangers, I wrote a story about it. They got some slack for the headline, but the Rangers aren't sure how good this guy can be. They've seen it, but the key is being consistent. And I think that's the point where we're at now. Now he's been okay the last few nights. He had that sacrifice fly Thursday. He's had some singles, but it seems like he's just they're challenging him with a fastball, and I don't know if it's inside that's giving him problems or what, but he does need to make an adjustment, and maybe it's shortening his swing a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a hitting coach. I don't think he's batting fourth, so that he can shorten up his swing and slap the ball to right field. So, but it's pretty apparent now that it is time for him to figure out what's happening with him.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it there. He was so good at going the opposite way. What is it? His first 3 home runs were all opposite field home runs, and he had that
right.
The one that was reviewed that hit the top of the wall in Tampa, and that almost was an inside the park home run, was also opposite field. And yeah, the guys are attacking him inside now. So do you think he's maybe lunging out too far and needs to kind of stay inside a little bit more now?
Well, guys get homer happy, and they when they do that, they get pole happy. And Willie Calhoun talked about it the other day on the Zoom call, and he wants to get away from that. But the reason he got caught up in pulling the ball into the shift is because he hit so many home runs in the minor leagues, and then again in 2019. So every hitter is better when they're hitting the ball over the field. I mean, Nick Solak, makes a living hitting the ball the other way, but even he's figured out how to hit the ball, pull side power to left field. So you kind of it's a trap, I guess, because if you yank a ball down the line, it's easier to get it out. But at the same time, you might be hurting yourself. But yeah, Garcia has power to all fields, and I think if he realizes that, if he's reminded of that, then I think that maybe you will see him go back to the approach that he had in spring training, and then those first 10 days he was in the majors.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. Well, Yang, which you said his full name earlier, good job. Emily had a little trouble with that on TV the other day.
Yeah.
But he and Allard have both been great, as well as others out of the bullpen. Is this, now that, some of the guys are coming back that they wanted at the beginning of the season, is this pen sort of coming together more like Woodward wanted it to?
Yeah, yes and no. I think they're still short a right-hander.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Cody's not going to be out long, apparently, but I think that there's an opportunity eventually, maybe this month, for DeMarcus Evans to come up. He's going to start at AAA. I know he's on the Frisco roster right now, but that's just kind of a semantics thing. He dominated. He's conquered Double A. He's pitched pretty well at AAA when the little time he's been there. I just think that this guy's too good to not have in your bullpen. So maybe he becomes that right-hander. Josh Spores has been really good, though. He got demoted. It was just one of those deals that you're a reliever with options, so you kind of draw the short end of the stick. But as far as the multi-inning guys, I think John King has been probably the best one. He throws the heck out of that sinker, gets a lot of ground balls. He's also showing a little bit of ability to strike guys out. And then, Allard has really kind of been a strikeout pitcher at times this year. Pretty strange. I think there are concerns about Taylor Hearn right now. He just, it's the way it's been explained is he comes into the game and kind of tries to get a feel, tries to get his fastball over, maybe less velocity, when he needs to just come in and throw the heck out of it, and he's got that kind of stuff where in a short burst, he doesn't need to keep anything in reserve. He just needs to come out and start firing. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point Wes Benjamin's back. I guess he had a mechanical deal that was causing him to miss the strike zone, which is really unusual for him. So there are candidates. There are guys who've been effective, and then Kennedy and Rodriguez at the back. But it's it was going to be a strength of the team. They had some bumps in the road. They've had a couple injuries, but it's still not bad.
Yeah, you mentioned Evans. 2 years ago when we had minor league baseball, I'm up here in Amarillo, and I was covering the Amarillo Sod Poodles and got to see a lot of Frisco and got to see a lot of DeMarcus Evans. And I don't think when I was covering him, he did not even allow a run. He was very difficult to hit. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. But let's turn over to Nick Solak and David Murphy the other night on the broadcast, the TV broadcast, did an excellent job of talking about the mechanical adjustments that he made in the batter's box, and it looks to have added some power to his game. So what do you think has really actually led to that power surge this season?
Yeah, when the Rangers got him in 19, he had hit, I think it's somewhere in the 20s in home runs at AAA, and that was the year that everybody thought the ball was too bouncy at AAA, but still, not everybody had that kind of power. And then he hit 5 home runs in whatever 6 weeks. Last year was not good. I mean, 2 homers in however many games it was. I think the one thing that I talked a little bit about earlier is he's learned how to pull the ball with power. You're seeing a lot of his home runs that are going out to left field. So that's an encouraging sign. I did see the graphic or the bit that Murphy did. I couldn't hear it, but you could tell his hands were positioned differently. It looked like he's just in a better position to hit, and not maybe less movement. But whatever it is, hey, don't stop. I mean, he says when he was coming out of his season opening slump, he said he's always hit. It's just a matter of trusting it until he gets his timing, and then when it does, I think these are the results. Now, I don't know if he's a 300 hitter. I don't know if he's going to be among the lead leaguers in home runs of the season, but he puts the ball in play consistently. He hits the ball hard consistently. He will take a walk. I think he's one of the leaders in hit by pitches this year. So he knows how to get on base. And basically what I'm saying is he's going to be a better hitter than Rougned Odor.
Yeah. Well, Odor had a walk-off hit for their winning hit for the Yankees. And other than that, he hadn't looked real good there so far. So, us Ranger fans still keep up with all those guys. So,
right.
The offense overall has been struggling, though, besides a few guys. Do you think it's the players just not being comfortable yet, or do you think there's a problem organizationally with the way that they're teaching these guys to approach the at-bats?
I think the at-bats have been better than last year. Even Leody Taveras was having really good at-bats.
Yeah.
He just had a mechanical flaw that wasn't allowing him to hit the ball. But, you see... You are seeing more walks than you have in the past couple seasons. And it's not just all Joey Gallo. You're going to have your hitters like Kiner Falefa, who's just a contact guy who's not going to walk much. But there have been some really, really just good at-bats this season so far. And I think honestly, some of it's mental. The team's pretty good on the road offensively. They're not really good at Globe Life Field, and I don't know if that's a carryover from last year. That clearly not a lot of home runs this season, just as there weren't last year. Although Kiner Falefa went out to center the other night, Solak went out to center. So there's. Maybe that's starting to filter out of their minds. I think the big one's Gallo. It was in one of the exhibition games against Milwaukee, and he hit a ball that got caught right in front of the bullpen in left center, and he smoked it. And I had asked him, like the Zoom call that afternoon, if he had come around, if he thought the ballpark was not as much a pitcher's park as he thought last year. And he said he gave the right answer, but then the next day he sends me a text of the StatCast screen grab of the out. And he said, well, there's your answer right there. So he still thinks that this is a pitcher's park. And until he sheds that, and there might be others who are still around last year who experienced the same thing. I think this team's just going to have trouble scoring here. They got no hit in this ballpark a few weeks ago, so there just might be a bugaboo, and maybe they're still trying to figure it out. What have they played? 45 games in this ballpark, the last 2 seasons. So, if I were them, I'd call the Dodgers and ask the Dodgers why they were able to hit so many home runs in the postseason. I think that the Dodgers out-homered the Rangers in, I think it was 16 games. The Dodgers played 16 games in the postseason at Globe Life and hit more homers than the Rangers hit in 30 games during the regular season. Ooh. So if you hit the ball, if you make contact, it's going to go out. And so maybe that says something about the Rangers hitters. I don't know, but there's something there that's got to be fixed.
And back to pitching. At the beginning of the season on this podcast, we've talked a lot about the tandem thing with the starting rotation. And I'm a little bit old school on that. I did not like it, but it has really grown on me because you're seeing it work and be really effective, especially for a young team like the Rangers. Do you think that they're going to continue to roll with that, or is that just kind of a fluid situation?
Well, I think it's a good way for them to evaluate players and get players experience, but also to limit their innings, because a lot of these guys, obviously nobody had a full season last year. Guys like Kyle Cody, Dane Dunning didn't pitch at all in 2019, so there's still some concern about that situation, about how much do you want them to pitch this year to have them healthy for next year. You could even apply it to Arihara. Yes, he threw 130 something innings last year in Japan, but that was on with an extra day's rest every start, with a slightly lighter ball, less travel. So you could even put him in a tandem if you wanted. But, I think Woodward has said it's fluid. He said it may not be able to work all season depending on how the starters do. I think the big one was Jordan Lyles, who had pitched okay and shown that he was capable of 5 and 6 innings, but then he went out as had a stinker last time. So I don't know that the Rangers are committed to giving up the tandem with him. I know with Dunning, they still want to put a cap on his pitches each start. So I think it's going to stay around in one form or the other. I mean, again, it's a very good way to see guys, and they have seen enough from like Taylor Hearn to tell him what he needs to do to adjust to be better. They're Kyle Cody, same thing when he's back and when he'd been healthy. So I think it sticks around for a little while. Now beyond this year, I don't think it stays, but these guys are rebuilding and they need to see players, and this is a decent way to do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, now looking around the AL West, Oakland and Seattle seem to be the best teams after the month of April, today being May 1st. Everyone's glad to see Houston struggling a little bit in this area. Do you think that one of those teams can win the West, or do you think that it's probably going to be Houston in the end?
Houston has some problems. I mean, you just kind of look at the way their pitching staff has changed over the last few years. And then, Verlander is hurt. Greinke's getting older. They have a lot of young guys who have really good stuff, but even the bullpen has changed. So I think they have some pitching issues to deal with. Of course, they're going to be competitive. They know how to win, still have a great lineup. So I think they'll be in it. I don't know that Seattle has the staying power. It's a 162 game season, and they're still pretty young. Oakland just always figures out a way to win. I mean, I don't know what it is, but they've got the right formula for their market and what they're able to do. I'm sure a lot of it goes to the manager. Everybody likes Bob Melvin. Never hear anything bad about him. And then there's the Angels. They probably have two of the 5 most talented players in baseball on their team, but they still have the same problems. Their starting pitching still stinks. Their bullpen's not great. And then once you get through Trout or Ohtani, Walsh is a nice hitter, Rendon, I think they're a little light at the bottom of the order. So it really could be a 3-team race. I think Seattle will fade. I could be 100% wrong, but I think that the best 3 are the Astros and the A's, with maybe the Angels and the 3rd team.
Yeah, in watching Anaheim, wow, that's old school right there. Los Angeles.
You call them Anaheim, that's fine. I call them Anaheim.
Okay.
You call them California, that's fine too.
Yeah, that also works. Yeah, we're going way back there. So yeah, watching them, it's so fun to watch. As you said, 2 of the 5. I'm assuming you're meaning Ohtani and Trout.
Yeah.
That Ohtani thing is pretty fun to watch, although it's on a team we obviously like, but it is fun to watch.
Sure.
But yeah, we've seen them twice early, and they just seem, the best way I can put it is just kind of sloppy. It's just kind of sloppy. I for whatever reason, it just seems sloppy. They look so good at one moment and then can look so bad the next. So, all right. Well, to cap this one off, I have kind of a 2-part question for you.
All right.
First off, do you miss traveling to the away games, or has it been nice to kind of stay at home and cover the games from the DFW area?
Well, I think my wife's within earshot, so I better be careful how I answer this. I miss the ability to provide unique content that the other guys don't have. Like, we all listen to the same Zoom call, and all the stories ultimately are going to have the same quotes and the same stuff, unless you take a really unique angle on it. And you can, like I texted Joey Gallo a couple weeks ago and he called me back and we talked for 10 minutes, and I got a story that nobody else had. Not that it was a breaking news or anything, but it was just nice to have something that nobody else had. And so not having clubhouse access is the biggest deal. I do miss the traveling. I've always liked traveling, going to the different cities. Being at home has been real nice, though. You know, the kids, it's a little harder to work with a 6 and 8 year old running around. But you know, it was harder to leave for spring training this year. That's for sure. But I think if the clubhouse reopens, access reopens, I think that we will start traveling again. Just, you know, it just gives you something different, gives you a chance to break more news, chance to get the almighty web clicks that we so desperately need. So I'm bracing for that, maybe after the All-Star break.
Yeah, my 5-year-old was being a gremlin pretty much all morning up to this point. Traction for so I could make this call. But yeah, and the second part of this question is, you know, we asked you last time, I believe, about how your golf game was and whatnot. I'm an avid bowler. So, Jeff, how's your bowling game?
I tell you, my daughter loves to bowl. She's only 6, so we still use the little ramp. But every time we on a Saturday say, hey, what do you want to do fun today? She always says bowling.
All right.
So the last time we bowled, I think I got one game in the 160s. So I was pretty happy with that. I can't shape the ball, or I can't read the oil in the lanes or anything like that. I just try to throw it straight and see what happens. But we have a good time. I don't have my own ball. My mom used to bowl in her school district's bowling league, and she got pretty good. She was averaging I think in the 170s at one point. So, but no, we like it. We just like with golf, we just don't always seem to have the time to do it.
Yeah, I went a little too far with my bowling. I've got 5 bowling balls.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Nice.
About 2 too many. But yeah, my high is 268. What do you got?
My high?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever gotten over 200. I think in high school and college, me and my buddies would go fairly frequently. I don't think I ever got over 200 though.
Yeah, I've gotten over 200, but that was in Wii bowling, so I don't think it counts.
Yeah, I need to put up the rails.
Yeah, there you go. Then I'd be perfect if I put up the rails. All right, well, Jeff, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it, guys. Anytime.
All right, appreciate you. Enjoy the game tonight, and hopefully it goes a little better than last night's game.
I hope so. Talk to you guys later.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Ranger Report podcast. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and at therangerreport.com.